aye.
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 Any opposed indicate by saying nay. Motion carries. We are on to tabled items from previous meetings, and there are none. Do any commissioners have any reports? Seeing none, we will move on to resolutions for consideration. We've got Resolution 2025-01001, and that is the election of board chair for 2025. So at this time, I will open the floor for nominations for board chair for 2025.
I'd like to nominate Jay Rick for board chair.
Okay.
Support Deaton.
I move the nominations to be closed.
Support.
Okay, I had two people who seconded, so who, Roger Deaton? Thank you, Commissioner Deaton. So we have a nomination by Commissioner Panovich, seconded for Jay Drick. And I now have a motion to close nominations. Do I have a second to that motion to close nominations?
Second.
Any discussion on that? Hearing none. On the motion to close nominations, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, indicate by saying nay. Hearing none, the nominations are closed. And I would look then for a motion to appoint Commissioner Drick as board chair for 2025.
Motion to approve sample.
Support Thomas.
Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all of those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, indicate by saying nay. Motion carries. I will now turn the meeting over at 6:20 to Chairman Drick.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome.
Next item on the agenda is 11 sub B. It's number 2025-01-002. It's entitled Election of Board Vice Chair for 2025. I would open the nominations for Vice Chair.
I nominate Nick Fiani.
Commissioner Sample has nominated Nick Fiani with a second by Commissioner Panovich, if I had the correct hearing. Any other nominations?
I move the nominations be closed and we cast the unanimous ballot for Nick Fiani.
There's motion by Helserman, support by Domas to close the nominations. Cast a unanimous ballot for Commissioner Nick Fiani to be Vice Chair for 2025. We're voting on the closure motion. All those voice vote in favor, kindly say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The closure motion succeeds 9-0. Therefore, we're on to the main motion that Nick Fiani be declared the duly elected Vice Chair of Livingston County Board of Commissioners for 2025. Can I get a motion?
Motion sample.
Moved by Sample. Is there a second?
Support.
Support by Commissioner Domas. We'll do voice vote. All those in favor, kindly say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? My ears give us a 9-0 election of our Vice Chair. Next item on the agenda is 11 sub C. It's number 2025-01-003. And it reads, resolution adopting rules for Livingston County Board of Commissioners and to establish meeting dates for 2025. And in your packet is a number of bylaw amendments. We need to start by a motion. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve the resolution?
Moved by Fiani. Is there a second?
Support, Helserman.
Support by Commissioner Helserman. Is there discussion, analysis, objection, questions relative to the proposed rules amendment? Commissioner Fiani and then Commissioner Gross.
So I do know that the proposed amendments 1 through 6 were mostly pertaining to housekeeping items. I'm happy to make a motion if there's a general consensus to approve them. I'm happy to make a motion to amend to add these proposals. For amendments 7 and 8, I did want to see if there was also a general consensus, and I'd be happy to include those as well. And if not, and those need further discussion, I'm happy to keep those separate. So I look to my fellow board members to see if there's a general consensus on all 8 amendments, or if there's a desire for further discussion on any particular one.
Thank you. Commissioner Gross, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to go along with the 6 housekeeping resolutions, but I think I, for one, would like to have some discussion on proposed amendments 7 and 8.
Thank you. Commissioner Nakagiri.
This is a question. What was the motion that we are discussing and debating right now?
You said 1 through 6.
Well, we're discussing the original motion, which was the board rules, and then there's been comments on proposed amendments, but there hasn't been any motion to make these amendments yet.
So we're discussing a motion to approve the board rules?
Right.
To approve all 8 is the motion in the resolution.
No.
No.
Have a
No.
motion
No.
To adopt the resolution on the floor that was made by Commissioner Fiani, seconded by Commissioner Helserman.
Okay,
And that motion was?
It was to approve the resolution adopting rules of the Livingston County Board of Commissioners and to establish meeting dates for 2025.
So that would be, we're debating all 8 amendments, right?
No, no,
Correct?
we're,
Not even, we didn't get there yet.
we're not to that yet.
Would be the board rules as
The original rules
submitted.
from 2024 and the draft proposal of the schedule.
So we're waiting for an
Oh, okay.
amendment to, and I would like to move that we accept proposed amendments 1 through 6, and that we deal with them as a group.
I'll second that.
essentially a motion to divide the question.
Pardon?
Essentially a motion to divide the question, which is perfectly acceptable.
No, we're just, I made it a motion to amend the board rules. Amendment 1, 2 through 6. That's my,
Yes,
I'm amending the board rules,
correct.
1 through 6.
And we've got a second by Commissioner Fiani.
Right.
So we're now into the discussion as to whether we accept or reject 1 through 6 as a package.
Right.
Any further commentary, discussion, analysis? Commissioner, Nakagiri.
Yeah, this may not be a major issue, with this current board, but on proposed amendment 1, amendment number 1, it's currently set up so that you have to have 3 commissioners request a special meeting. I've always viewed that higher threshold because the chair of the board cannot on his own request a special meeting. So that puts limitation on the authority of the chair to act unilaterally and call a special meeting. I'm okay with, in contrast, I'm okay with the committee chair acting unilaterally to call a special committee meeting, because you ultimately, even if it passes committee, you have to go to the full board. So there's some checks and balances in there. Allowing the chair of the board to unilaterally decide we're going to have a special meeting a special meeting at which we could take action. I mean, if we get a majority, we could take action and get something done immediately. I have a little bit of concern about that in more, I would say in the future, setting a precedent for the future. In that, I'm a big fan of having more checks and balances. And if we said we need 3 commissioners to ask for the meeting, a meeting at which we could actually take action as a full board, I see that as a check. I'm certainly willing to, you know, I'm interested in other people, my colleagues' point of view on this. You know, maybe I'm out in left field, so.
Further comment, analysis?
I have a
Commissioner
question.
Helserman?
How many times have we, in your time as administrator, I don't ever remember, I remember maybe once or twice that we called a special meeting. We hardly ever call a special meeting.
Yeah, we had one in November. And the reason that we had, and this is frankly the reason why we normally have special meetings, is there's a timing issue. If you remember in November, we had to certify the voter approved millages to get them on the winter bill that the localities passed. And the way the calendar worked out this year, it wasn't going to fit into our normal schedule. And so Sue came to the board and requested a special meeting. And so that was something, in 2020, there was a grant that we learned about last minute. We wanted to apply. It wasn't going to fall in our normal schedule. So I believe it was Teresa or Dave came forward with a grant request. In 2021, we were dealing with COVID. There was a timing issue related to an emergency declaration where we called a special meeting. I think there's been one special meeting where there was a legal matter that required a special meeting for a closed session. And so maybe 4 or 5 in my almost 5 years here, very rare. And the reason behind the proposed amendment, at least from my perspective, is just that those instances that I shared were never organic from the board asking for a special meeting. That's where we come to the board and say, hey, we've got something that's prompting us to meet, and then there's an agreement to meet. And when we have that, I kind of have to run around and get 3 or more of you to send me something in writing about a meeting that we've already agreed to have to satisfy what's in the rules. And so the purpose of it was to frankly make that easier to schedule a special meeting when there's rare instances where we need them. You know, it's written in a way that allows the board to still call a special meeting at the request of 3, but also gives discretion to the chair if there's certain business that needs to be conducted to call a meeting as well. So to answer your question, they're not common, they're rare, but they do happen once or twice a year, maybe.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Gross, you have the floor.
Following up on Administrator Byrd's comments, I'm wondering if the proposed change should be amended to say when necessary to conduct business at the request of the county administrator. In as much as history indicates that when we have had a special meeting, it's basically come from administration as opposed to any of us throwing out a request. And so I'm wondering if it might not be appropriate to identify the position of the administrator as the source.
Any further discussion? Any amendments needed? Commissioner Fiani?
I was just gonna say that the board rules can be amended at any time as well, so, you know, we certainly we could approve 2 through 6 and then continue to think about this even next week, the following week. Whatever is desired, so.
Anyone else?
I'm not, well, if we're gonna, just to talk about that for a second, the one thing I would say in here is, I think that the way this is written, the chairman doesn't have to necessarily have a waiting time, or I don't know if it follows the notice procedures in here. Because it doesn't say the chairman has to call a special meeting by writing, where it does for the 3 commissioners. That might be reading into it too much, but
even special meetings have Open Meetings Act requirements. 18 hours, 3 days, something along that line.
18 hours.
So that would cover it.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to go forward with this. I don't know if we want to put in, you know, just keep this, yeah, this next, Commissioner Fiani said, we can withdraw this power anytime we wish, change board rules. I hear, Commissioner Nakagiri's concerns, but we can pull it back if we need to, or we could say that, that this amendment had to be specially approved every year, so that would be the only other.
Having heard that discussion, does anyone wish to make an amendment, or should we proceed without amendment and vote? Commissioner Nakagiri.
I'm making a motion to divide the question yet again and vote on everything but proposed amendment number one and vote on number one separately.
Madam Clerk, are you understanding that we're going to vote on 2 through 6?
Yes, I am.
That's my understanding also. Thank you. Does everybody on the commission understand that we'll vote on 2 through 6?
I'll second it.
And we have a second. Thank you. Discussion on, final discussion chance for motion that would approve rule amendments 2 through 6. Seeing none, voice vote. All those in favor kindly say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's 9-0. We have approved 2 through 6 as amended. We have left.
Did we approve the amendment and then?
That was just the
The
approval.
amendment
was
of the
that.
amendment?
It's my understanding, similar to what Commissioner Hausman's saying, is we only approved to divide the question.
Right.
We
Yes.
now have to
Correct.
approve the
Now,
amendment.
now we're going to approve what's been divided. All those in favor, voice vote, kindly say aye.
Just for clarification purposes, this first vote is on proposed amendments number 2 through number 6, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion to divide carried, and now
Right.
we're on.
To the
Okay,
meat. All those in favor of 2 through 6, amending our board rules, kindly say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 9-0. So now we're on to items.
So if we divide the question, does that mean we still have to deal with one?
We still have to deal
Yes.
with one,
Okay.
and then eventually we still have to deal with 7-8. So what's your pleasure? Anyone have comment or discussion about number 1? Commissioner Fiani?
Since that's how our rules have been for years now, I'm happy to keep them as is, so I don't, I'm happy to forego this amendment and keep the rules as is.
You have a no change motion.
Not a motion, I'm just sharing my train of
Okay,
thought.
just thinking. Does anybody have a no change motion?
Can I withdraw? I can't withdraw my motion because my motion was for 1 through 6, so I can't withdraw my motion.
Talking about proposed amendment number 1. Any further discussion, analysis, objection, support?
Yes,
Go ahead.
We just don't need to take any action on that, right? We can just move on to, I make a motion to discuss proposed amendment number 7.
we still have to vote down.
Oh, it's all because it's on? I got it.
it's on the floor.
It's divided, so it's still part of the motion
You guys are really trying to make this difficult tonight.
Any further?
I
Commissioner
probably don't
West.
have to say this, but I'm going to vote against Amendment 1 because, you know, we've had the way the rules have been for years and for the reasons I've already stated. But if other people see it differently, I mean, that's why we go by the will of the majority. So,
Commissioner Helserman.
I will make an amendment to this amendment to say that this, if we pass it, this rule has to be voted on. This rule is only for 1 year. If we want this to continue, it has to be voted on the next year. So that's my amendment, that we make this amendment for only 1 year.
I think that's already the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every
It
year,
is.
we vote on
Yeah.
what we want to
Right,
keep and what we don't.
we don't look at the rest of things that we don't amend quite as thoroughly.
I don't think we can make an amendment to an amendment. So I think it might be most efficient just to vote it down and we can come back and keep discussing, but that just might be the most efficient way right now.
Do I hear you've withdrawn the second amendment?
Yeah, I guess so. yeah.
Thank you.
I think you can amend an amendment, so, but I think you can amend
Oh,
forever.
If you can, then
I think you can amend
if
forever.
that's permitted. I have no issue with that. I didn't
But-
believe it was. So if it is, I have no issue with it.
But
I would think your amendment's taken care of because next January, we'll have all these rules again in front of us.
Sure.
And we could decide to take out more that aren't even on the sheet yet. So we can still have a chance.
sure, okay.
Having that said,
So I want just for clarification, the
Certainly.
vote that we're gonna vote for right now, if we vote no, we're voting to not adopt this rule. We vote yes, we're voting to adopt rule,
Yeah.
proposed amendment number 1.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I would share, I'm gonna go with the no on this one, just so we can.
Get it off the table.
Yep.
all those that want the amendment to be amended, kindly vote aye. And then if you don't want it, you vote no. So it's the negatives stay correct.
Yeah.
All those in favor of the amendment kindly say aye. All those against the amendment kindly say nay.
Nay.
I'm hearing 9-0 against. Now we're left with proposed amendments 7 and 8.
We still have to vote on. We've not.
We have a
voted on
second?
the-
Do we have to do
We
another vote?
divided the amendment. We've not voted on the actual amendment, have we?
We did.
Yeah, we did, separated it.
Okay, so that's all set.
2 through 6 carried 9-0.
Okay.
Number 1 failed 0-9.
What's your pleasure with items or proposed amendments 7 and 8? Anyone wish to discuss, object, amend, talk? Commissioner Gross.
Can we discuss these before a motion is made?
No, I think somebody needs to make a motion to.
Yeah, I make
for
a
one.
motion that we consider a proposed amendment 7 and 8.
And a second?
Well, I would like just to note that we could actually discuss it without a motion being made because we're currently discussing the rules in general.
Right, yeah.
So,
Okay.
but
Yes, you're right.
In that case, I'll withdraw the motion and let's have discussion.
Into discussion then. Anybody want to comment about 7 or 8 or either, both?
I have comments regarding both.
Proceed.
My first one has to do with proposed amendment number 7 with the addition of item M for commissioner comments, which immediately follows the second call to the public. I have some heartburn with this because the implication is that any one of us as commissioners might use that opportunity to rebut or refute comments made during call to the public. And that provokes a dialogue, which we historically have shied away from. So I would be opposed to having commissioner comments at that point. Anything anything other that a commissioner wants to bring up for general information, you know, if there's a fish fry here or something there, that can be done under the reports earlier in the agenda. So it's my thought that we should not include proposed amendment number 7 listed as item M under section 5 of conduct of board meetings.
And as to amendment 8, comment?
With amendment 8, I would like to suggest to change the very last sentence that's been added is that the chairperson may invite other commissioners to participate in the evaluation. I would like to make a motion that we change the word may to be shall. The word may implies that the chair could do the evaluation all by himself. I think evaluation should definitely have input from any or all commissioners. And so if the word shall is there, invitation to be given to all commissioners. And if some of them wish to participate, they can do so. If some of them wish to pass, they may do so. But that we hire the administrator, we should do the evaluation, and we have the right to fire. So I think the word may shall be replaced with the word shall.
If that's a motion, I'll second.
I'll make that a motion.
Commissioner Gross moved and Commissioner Nakagiri seconded a motion relative to item proposed amendment 8, changing may to shall in the last sentence.
I don't think we made a motion on the 2 amendments.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so for clarification, what I'm hearing is a motion to approve amendment 8 with the removal of may and the addition of shall in the last sentence. Would that
Yes.
be-
In my mind, this is, Mr. Chair, in my mind, this is rather to say shall. That means other commissioners could mean 1, could mean 2.
It would be up to each commissioner to decide if they wanted to participate or not.
No. If you only change it to shall, it says other commissioners. It doesn't say how many commissioners. It's
right.
unclear.
You're right.
That's what I'm saying. And part of the reason why the chairperson does it is that it's more intimate and it's not a public meeting. Okay, so so if we want to talk turkey with our administrator, we can't talk turkey in an open meeting. And there are times when the business of the county, though it's all public, that there's times that it's, because any of us commissioners can have a discussion and talk turkey anytime we want. But you get 5 of us in a room and it has to be public. And
Point-
so,
Point of information, Commissioner Helserman, by statute, the administrator has the right to, on a review, to ask for a closed session.
is that correct?
Correct.
That's how we did it last year.
And that's
It is.
correct under both the contract and I believe open meetings.
Oh, it's definitely open meetings, yeah.
Because I'm happy with may, and I'm happy with shall, but I think it should be the chairperson's decision as to how many he shall invite. That's the way that I would interpret the word shall in there, that the chairperson has the right to invite whoever he or she wishes. And the invitation does not have to go to all. That's my interpretation of the meaning of this, just changing the word shall, because
Would you be more comfortable if it said, shall invite all other commissioners?
no.
I would.
No,
would concur with Commissioner.
I don't,
You're not in
I'd
favor of it at
rather,
all.
I'd rather it be up to the chairperson to decide. But if we say, if we say shall, there has to be one other person besides the chairperson there. So,
Well, shall invite, so he has to invite, but they don't have to attend.
yes, but he doesn't have to invite everyone.
So I would actually like to propose or inquire if Commissioner Gross and Commissioner Nakagiri would wish to change their amendment to say shall invite all other commissioners.
I'm favorable to all.
I'm favorable. So having said that, I'll withdraw the motion I made previously.
Oh, I think our clerk can just make the.
I can make that change.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Deaton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was perfectly happy with you sending out notes and asking for input. And then we do elect you to work on our behalf with our comments. So I was fine the way it worked the last couple of years. Did you receive comments from all the commissioners when you requested them?
Some. Further analysis, comment? So we have on the floor an amendment to change two words in proposed amendment 8. Change may to shall, change, or actually not change, but insert the word all in front of other. Is that how you're reading it and understanding it for our minutes?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Very good. So we will vote on that amendment. A yes vote would do the changes, a no vote would leave it alone. And then we'd go back and vote on the entire.
Was my understanding this vote would also approve the amendment as well. That was my actual initial inquiry earlier, that the motion.
The motion made was to approve amendment number 8 with the may to shall and the addition of all. That was the motion by Commissioner Gross, seconded by Commissioner Nakagiri.
So to
concur.
repeat, I'm believing that a yes vote would do the insertion of the word all and do the changing of the other word. That's what we would get with a yes vote now. And a no
Correct.
vote would,
And it would
And
approve
And it also
this,
approves.
this motion to amend, correct,
so it's,
with that change.
yep, okay, we're all on the same notion here. We'll go voice vote. All those in favor, voting yes on this, kindly say aye.
Aye.
Or any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
There's 3 opposed and there's 6 for it. It passes.
Could I have clarification on the 3 nays, please? I know I've got Commissioner Helserman, Commissioner Deaton,
Commissioner Drick,
and Commissioner Drick.
I thought you proposed this.
not that one.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
I make a motion to approve proposed amendment number 7 as written.
Support.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sample to approve number 7, support by Commissioner Domas, excuse me, seconded by Commissioner Domas. Analysis, comment, objections? Commissioner Gross.
I guess I'd like to hear from somebody, anybody, to give me some sort of an explanation of what potentially would be covered by this change.
Commissioner Sample.
I think the reason for M is kind of a nice way for once we get through resolutions for consideration to maybe make a comment after there's been a long discussion through different resolutions, you know. I don't necessarily think it's a topic to attack or call the public.
Then perhaps M should become L. Immediately following the resolutions.
I'm answering the question on the commissioner comments, just, I think it's nice at the end for an opportunity to have a closing comment.
I can understand your point. I just, as I stated earlier, I think this opens the door to a dialogue of sorts, and I don't think we need that.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Helserman.
I've seen quite a few, I have 3 or 4 township meetings that I go to, and quite often they'll have, comments, this sort of thing at the end. And yet it seems to be a nice kind of a closing of the evening. And not, I can see how that there may be answers given to some of the call to the public. I don't see that as, well, if it's handled correctly, it's not a problem, because I think that the public does deserve some public answers to some of the public questions that they give. And we don't particularly allow for that. I think I think that it would allow for that. And I'm favorable of that. Again, that's one of those things that if we see it being abused, we get it out of there. If it's abused, if it becomes troublesome, if it's brings rancor, heats up the temperature of the meeting instead of cooling it down, then that's because we want to have a meeting where we can say what we need to say, but not turn up the temperature of things, keep things cool. So
Thank you. Anyone else? I was the one that proposed similar wording, and our county administrator made sure it was in Robert's Rules of Order, which it is. So when it isn't in our bylaws, we can go with Robert's Rules. I was thinking of congratulating people. I was thinking of thanking people. I was thinking of pointing out that there's a line item in our budget that covers things. It seems that it would be a good way to tie up a few loose ends that way. Maybe put on everybody's mind that there's a fish fry next Friday, that kind of thing too, announcements. So we went with, our administrator went with as least pugnacious entry for 2 words, just comment. And yes, I've been in other meetings where they have a final a final comment, mostly in school board meetings. So I've seen it there. So it's not something that is cut out of whole cloth and may be brand new to anybody. It's in Roberts. So I'm favorable to having an ability. Nobody says it's a mandatory, it's just an ability to comment. Any further comment or analysis at this point? So I believe we have a clean position. 1 vote will take care of this. Very good. All those in favor of proposed 7 as written, kindly say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Votes 8 to 1, it passes. Our agenda now takes us to item.
We have to approve the amended, basically the whole package.
I will need a
Commissioner-
vote on the motion to adopt a resolution 2025-01-003 as amended, please.
As amended,
Mhm.
because we're leaving out one.
Yes.
All those in favor of that motion? Excuse me, we need a sponsor or
It will
second?
be,
Was made by myself and seconded.
I'm
I
trying-
made-
I'm done. It's already been over. I think Commissioner Fiani is reminding me that he made the motion and it was seconded by Commissioner Helserman
correct,
a few minutes ago.
just a few.
Just a few. All those in favor of the, of 2 through 8 as amended?
No, we're doing the whole thing, right?
Yes, the whole thing as written, but it's as
amended.
amended.
Right.
All those in favor, kindly say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Voice vote, I hear is 9-0. We're on to number 12 in our agenda. It's called Call to the Public. It's 2 minutes. Have you any cards?
I do not have any cards.
Thank you. Do we have anyone on Zoom? If you'd like to raise your hand.
Commissioner, I do not see any hands raised.
I concur. Thank you kindly. Call to the public number 2 is closed at 6:59 PM. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So move, Helserman.
Support Eaton.
Moved by Helserman, support by Deaton. All those in favor, kindly say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Voice vote is 9-0. We stand adjourned.